Today I'm making classic pot roast. This is my go-to. It's very easy to do, and everybody has their own way of doing it, but this is my favorite way. Okay, this is my go-to Sunday pot roast. I'm going to cook outside. You can do it in the oven if you like, but I'm going to do it on the grill. And I'm preheating this to 275 degrees. I've got a 3 to 4 pound chuck roast. That's what I suggest for a pot roast. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some butcher's twine and I'm going to tie it up, because when we cook this, it's going to be very fall apart. So I'll take about this much butcher cord. Just going to tie up the sides. We don't want it to fall apart. And I'll just cut off the excess. There we go. And you can see how that's tied up now. The recipe for this in the comments section. I've got some rosemary. I've got some thyme. Some onion salt. And some fresh cracked pepper. Just mix it up with your fingers. I've got two big cloves of garlic, and I've kind of cut them into slivers. You're going to take your knife and put a little slit like that in the roast and jam a sliver of garlic in there. Adds great flavor. And do that throughout the roast, evenly spaced. Now we're going to take a Dutch oven. I find that this is the best way of cooking the pot roast, with a Dutch oven. And we're going to plug this in and take it up to a medium-high heat. Now we're going to take the spices and we're just going to cover the roast on both sides and pat it in. And I'll get a little on the side. Now we're going to put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of this hot pan, maybe a tablespoon or so. There, I can see it's starting to smoke. I'm going to take this nicely seasoned roast and put it in and just sear it on as many sides as you can. You don't want it to fall apart. If you've tied this properly, it should be good. We're going to go maybe 2 minutes aside. I like that. I'll use my pigtail to lift this out. Just rest it back on the same plate. You can do that with beef, that's fine. And you can see all the little crispy bits in the bottom. I've got a cup of dry Cabernet Sauvignon. We're just going to deglaze the pan with that. Get up all the little bits on the bottom. Good. I've got 2 cups of a very flavorful dark beef broth. I put that in too. And I've got a small onion that's quartered. Put that in. Small carrot, halved and quartered. And some celery. I've cut them in half and into little sticks. That just sits on the bottom. Now we're going to put the roast back on top. Just like that. It's kind of raised up a little bit, and it's definitely thicker because we tied it. Push those garlics back in. Good. I'm going to put a lid on this. My temperature's up at 275 degrees. I've got heat on this side, and nothing in the center where this is going to go. So I'm going to let that go for 2.5 hours. 2.5 to 3.5 hours. It all depends on the thickness of your cut. If you're doing a 3 pound roast, it's going to cook a little bit differently. If you're really marbled, it's going to cook differently. If it's a really good cut, it should take less time. But we're going to braise this now. And I'll check back probably in maybe an hour and a half, see how it's doing. Watch my temperatures. Okay, this held rock steady at 275 degrees for exactly 2.5 hours. And I had a little peek at it. So I think it's done. I'm going to bring this out. Got a piece of foil. There's a bunch of vegetables in here. These are all spent. They're severely overcooked. I wouldn't use them. But I'm going to try and take this out in one piece. Yeah. Oh, the garlic looks really good. And I'm just going to wrap this up. No classic pot roast is going to be complete without a gravy, velouté gravy. And we're going to make some cauli mash. So I'm just going to remove the rest of the vegetables here. I'm going to pour the drippings into a measuring cup. If it's really fatty, you can take the fat off the top. So I'm going to turn this on, medium-high heat, and this is my standard go-to gravy, and it's velouté. A couple of tablespoons of butter in the bottom, and this is carbulose flour. And I've got a quarter cup here for the amount that we have, and we're just going to make a blonde roux. Just going to cook the flour a little bit. If you haven't tried this carbulose flour, it's fantastic. I've tried making gravy with coconut flour, almond flour. It's just not the same making it with a nut-based flour. We just pour a little bit of this stock in. Just keep on whisking. You want to make it nice and silky smooth. Let's have a look at this. This is going to rest for another 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Look at that. That is a classic pot roast. This is my version. I think the Cabernet Sauvignon really makes this gravy really nice. So I like the consistency of the gravy. If you haven't tried my perfect cauli mash, it's got a little bit of cream cheese in it and butter, and there you go. I'm very happy with that. This is my classic pot roast with a really nice rich beef gravy and some cauli mash. Thanks for watching.